Is it fair at this point? I mean, obviously there's been a lot of soul searching, a lot of finger pointing at this point. Is it fair to be placing blame at the feet of anyone other than the shooter at this point?
Yeah, I mean, not direct blame. No, this guy was clearly a nut. I mean, a schizophrenic, a paranoid. I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but nut would be the layman's term. But it's also clear that he was very anti-government. I mean, if you read some of the stuff that we have, that we know he wrote, I mean, it's sprinkled with things, anti-government ideas, treason, tyranny. But Sarah Palin put the crosshairs up on her website. That's a person in a position of authority. Her other example was, you know, Keith Olbermann says, worst person in the world. Well, first of all, it's comedy. It's tongue-in-cheek. And it's very different than what Alan West talks about, what Michelle Bachmann talks about. I want to, you know, keep my opponent scared to come out of his house. I want Minnesotans armed and dangerous. Sharon Engel with Second Amendment remedies. You know, you float these ideas. Nobody on the left is saying that it would cause a rational person to do something crazy. We're saying it goes out to the borderline cases, the nutty people. But it's always from the right.
By no means are you saying that the Congresswoman is out of the woods. Is that correct?
That's correct. So it's going to be a long recovery from this point. But right now, things are going well, and we're happy with that status.
I'm calling it cautiously optimistic. I think what's critical is that people were wondering whether she was able to react in any way to commands or requests. Can you explain what you observed?
Yes, I think there's a lot of components as to why she's alive and doing well this morning. And it has to do with the fact that that's how we got her as well. She was responsive to a degree when we got her. She was able to follow simple commands such as squeezing a hand. And that was the condition before we rushed her to surgery and operated on her as quickly as we can to make sure that there wasn't any ongoing bleeding and to make sure that we could relieve the pressure off of her brain.
And after surgery, was she still able to respond, or was the situation different?
Well, we watched, because sometimes it takes a long time for a patient to recover and sometimes come out of their coma. But this morning she was able to respond and almost to the level that she was before the surgery, so we're very happy about that. Of course, anytime you deal with neurosurgery and brain surgery, things can change at the moment, minute to minute, and so we're going to be careful that she doesn't get into trouble over the next several weeks.
There's an ad that she ran.
That's the person who was running against the Congresswoman.
Right, which said help remove her from office, and in the next line talked about firing M16s.
Rebecca Mansour with Tammy Brucia.
Again, maybe it wasn't done on the record enough by us when this graphic came out. The graphic is just, it's basic. We never, ever intended it to be gun sites. It was simply crosshairs like you see on maps.
Well, it's a surveyor symbol. Rebecca.
Surveyor symbol.
Yeah.
And no, but I just want to say this, Tammy, if I can.
Please.
You know, the graphic was done. It was done not even in house. We had a professional who does a political graphics artist, consultant do this for us.
It's interesting because in a tweet earlier, a couple months ago, Sarah Palin actually described it as the bullseye icon.
Would it be okay if Keith Ellison, the Muslim member of Congress, put that up on his website? Can you imagine if he put that on his website targeting his political opponents? Do you think they just let that go over at Fox News? Maybe the Muslims have more moderates than the Republicans. When you float terms like tyranny, as they do, or treason, Remember in the healthcare debate, Republican congressmen were hoisting that banner that said, "Don't tread on me," which really had previously only applied to enemies of America, not political opponents. You create an atmosphere. Yes, you do. Governor Perry in Texas threatening secession over the tax hike that Obama wanted, over a 3% tax hike on the richest 1%. These people are hysterical. Hysterical is really the only word I can think of it for it. These conservatives, they want to be known as tough guys. They're girls, schoolgirls who get hysterical about things. Healthcare made them hysterical. Government takeover. It wasn't a government takeover. I know what a government takeover would have looked like. That's called a single-payer system. We didn't get that. We didn't even try for that. We didn't get a public option. So when you create an atmosphere of hysteria, yes, of course, the nuts are going to hear it, and some of them are going to do things like this guy.